Okie dokie, listen up. We've got ourselves a little bit of a situation here. CC has got it into his head that the moon gives off a cold light. I mean, come on. That's like saying I'm not the best looking debunker on YouTube. We all know it's not true. And let's not forget about these flat earthers and their made up science. They're like a bad science fiction movie, but without the cool special effects. Look, just because you don't understand something doesn't make it fake. It just means you need to do some actual research and not just watch other flat earthers on YouTube. We can see how that's turning out. Please subscribe.
I want to start off with the sun and the moon, okay? Because these are objects that we see every day. During the daytime, during the nighttime. Okay? We're told that one's reflecting light off of the other one, which is absolutely impossible.
What? Well, it looks like we've got a budding physicist here. Sorry to burst your bubble though, CC, but the sun and the moon are real. They're not just a figment of imagination, but hey, keep questioning everything. Who knows, maybe you'll discover something that'll make Newton himself roll over in his grave.
Because if everything was real and hunky-dory in the Walt Disney World, they like to explain our children, those astronauts would probably fry on the moon.
Does radiation from the sun affect astronauts on the moon? Yeah, it's like a really bad sunburn, but on steroids. The moon's surface doesn't have a protective atmosphere like we do on Earth, so the astronauts had to wear suits that protected them from the harmful rays. And if you're thinking, but how did they even take the pictures? Well, let's just say they had some out-of-this-world camera equipment.
Okay, because of the reflection of the sun. And they would never be able to take any pictures up there nonetheless. The exposure would just be off the wall, it's too white. It brightens the entire sky at night, the moon that is, when it's full.
What do you mean the moon's reflection makes it impossible to take pictures? Come on, CC. We've got some of the coolest photos of the moon out there. It's like the moon was posing for us or something. I mean, yeah, it's not like the moon was holding up a say cheese sign, but with the right gear and some creativity, you can snap some really awesome pictures of the moon. And we have.
There is no relationship between the sun and the moon.
Now, the sun and the moon have a relationship that's more complicated than Ross and Rachel's. The sun is a big fiery ball that provides us with warmth and light, while the moon is like Earth's cool silent sidekick. Now, the moon does not have its own light, but it reflects the sun's ray, and it's pretty good at it too.
Okay, we've done the experiments. The moon projects cold, okay?
Hang on a second, did you just say the moon gives off a cold light? That's like saying ice cream is hot. The temperature difference in the shadow temperature experiment the flat earthers just love to cite is just because objects absorb heat differently in the light to the way they do in the shade, not because the moon is giving off a chilly vibe.
But I want to get into something else with you today. I've spoken about that, and it's a terrific topic to discuss and bring up with a scientist.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect topic to bring up with scientists if your goal was to make them wet their pants laughing.
And let's see his answer for that. I'm sure he'll come up with something.
Now, I'm not a scientist myself, but even I can explain why the moon doesn't give off a cold light. And just because something doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't mean it's fake. It just means you need to read a book or two, Chris. I mean, have you ever heard of Google? It's like a library, but on the internet.
They always do, but it never makes any sense. Because when you make it up, you can't explain it.
Flat earthers and their made up science. They're like a science experiment gone terribly wrong. Just because you don't understand something, it doesn't mean it's fake, Chris. How many times have I got to say that? It just means you need to put your thinking cap on and do some actual research. And I don't mean watch other flat earthers on YouTube either. We can see that doesn't help.
Okay? Just like black matter. They can't explain it, so they make it up. It's bullshit. You understand that? There you go, okay?
Black matter? Is that like a new superhero who's invisible because he doesn't emit, absorb, or reflect light? Oh wait, my bad, you probably meant dark matter. It's like the ninja of matter sneaking around the universe and affecting everything through its gravity. Now, even though we can't see it, we know it's there. Like when your wife moves something you were looking for. You know she's there, you just didn't see her do it. And let's just be clear, that also, and you can join in and say this with me, doesn't make it fake.
I think the moon is a projection and the sun is a reflection, okay? And that would explain the sun flares.
Oh yeah, solar flares, the fireworks of the sun. It's like the sun is a pyromaniac with a lot of pent-up energy just waiting for an excuse to explode. And when those magnetic fields snap, it's like the sun's having a temper tantrum, unleashing a burst of energy that could power a million flat earthers' brain. And speaking of flat earthers, if they think the sun is a reflection, then I've got to ask, who's holding the mirror? Maybe it's one of those funhouse mirrors that distorts everything, like flat earthers' perception of reality.
The reason why I believe the moon's a projection is because it's projecting cold light. Okay, the reason why I believe the sun is a reflection coming from somewhere else, possibly being magnified, is...
Oh boy, here we go again. It's like flat earthers have a special ability to make stuff up when they don't understand something. I bet they think the moon is made of cheese as well, and that the earth is flat because they keep falling off the edge. But seriously, just because you don't understand something doesn't mean you can make up your own version of it. It's like saying I'm an alien from Mars just because I don't completely understand how gravity works.
Because of the heat and because of the supposed sun flares and the electricity.
The sun does give off electricity in the form of charged particles and electromagnetic radiation, which can interact with electrically charged particles in space and on Earth to produce various phenomena. A reflection is the image of an object or scene that appears in a mirror or still water or another reflective surface, and it occurs when light waves bounce off a surface and return to the observer's eye or the camera lens, creating a mirror image of the original object. So, dare I ask what the sun is a reflection of? I mean, it has to be the sun, doesn't it? I'm getting a headache just thinking about this.
That you get in the morning, you know, when this comes closer to you and goes away from you, or further away from you.
I feel like I've just stepped into an alternative universe. What the hell are you talking about? It's like you're speaking another language. Maybe one that only flat earthers can understand. Can you translate it for me? Or maybe we should just stick to facts and leave the fiction to Hollywood, Chris.
So let's take a look at that. All right. So if one is a reflection, okay, and the other one is a projection, all right, how could you explain the eclipse?
Yeah, okay, let's talk about eclipses. If the moon is a projection, then who's in charge of the projector? Is it like a giant movie screen in the sky? And if the sun is just a reflection, then what's reflecting it? Is it like a funhouse mirror that distorts everything? I bet the flat earthers have some creative answers for that one. But let's be honest, the only thing eclipses prove is that the earth is round and that flat earthers are clueless.
Interesting point. Very good point. I like it when people ask that question because the eclipse actually proves the flat earth, and it also proves many other things too.
Alright, if you're convinced that eclipses prove the flat earth theory, then congratulations. You've officially proven that you're an idiot. And if eclipses could really prove that the earth is flat, then why don't they look like this? I mean, come on, even a toddler would see through that nonsense.
But, okay, so when the moon goes over the sun, supposedly it covers it, okay? Shouldn't you be able to see the front of the moon?
During a lunar eclipse, the Earth gets in between the sun and the moon, and the Earth's shadow covers the moon, making it appear a reddish-brown colour. Now, here's the thing. We can't see the front of the moon during a lunar eclipse because the Earth's shadow totally blocks it out. And that's not rocket science, it's just plain old common sense. But apparently, common sense is not that common among flat earthers. I know, surprise, surprise.
That's right. The front of the moon, because of the reflection that's coming back from Earth. Because it should be bright.
Yeah, the Earth does reflect sunlight, about 30% of it to be precise, and that's what gives the Earth its blue hue when seen from space. But do you know why the sky looks blue? It's because the Earth's atmosphere scatters shorter blue wavelengths of sunlight more than it does longer red ones. Science, bitches.
The shadow's only 70 miles large. There should be a reflection from the moon of light so you can see the front of the moon while it's eclipsing the sun.
Sometimes we can see our own reflection on the moon's shrouded side. It's called Earth shine and it's pretty cool. Basically, the moon reflects sunlight that bounces off the Earth's surface, clouds and atmosphere, and then back towards us. And the reflected sunlight is scattered by Earth's atmosphere, creating a faint glow around the moon. This phenomenon actually reinforces two things we already know. Number one, that the Earth is round, and number two, that flat earthers are a bunch of clueless dodos who don't know their science from their elbows.
Just like you can't hear the tones from a dog whistle.
Excuse me? Did you just say dog whistle? You alright, Chris? Maybe you've been flat earthing for too long.
Well, there's a lot of things we can't see up there that the Creator made.
There's a lot we still don't know about space, and we might never fully understand it. But let's make one thing clear. Just because we don't understand something doesn't make it not real. And sorry, Cece, I'm going to have to ignore your creator nonsense for now.
He or she, whoever it may be, made your eyes, made your body, made everything work, programmed everything for you. Okay? That's what the Creator's done. You don't think the Creator is going to make something that's a tangible object up there that we can go up and hurt it or do something to it or blow up or something like that? No.
I don't think a creator had anything to do with it, but if you've got a direct line to the big guy, can you pass on a message from me? Ask him about childhood cancer and eye-burrowing insects, because they're just not cool.
Okay. Now, the moon, on the other hand, is another thing you can never get to. See, they've already tried to do this. You see, I'm sure with all the money that they take in, 52 million or whatever, let's put inflation now, it's got to be like $90 million a day.
$69.5 million per day. But if you compare that to the US's military budget, which is $2 billion a day, it ain't that much, is it? But go on.
They've shot a rocket toward the moon, and it keeps getting there, but the moon's going further and further away, the rocket's getting closer and closer, and the moon keeps going further and further away, and then BAM! It hits the dome. Explosion. Oh well, there goes your moon.
Now look, I know what you're thinking. What the hell is CC talking about? Sounds like a plot line straight out of a B-rated sci-fi film. But don't worry, I'm here to help. Rockets don't just shoot straight up like a firework on the 4th of July. No, they take a curved path up to the stratosphere, and it's all for good reason. Because by tilting the rocket towards the horizontal direction, we can make use of Earth's rotation to get the necessary speed for orbit. And not just any orbit, a successful one.
You see, that's the beauty of it. This is how much fun it is. Because what flat earthers and what we've done, we've condensed the universe that has billions and trillions and quadrillions and zillions and whatever the fuck number they can come up with and make up, they'll tell you, is the size of, and we've condensed it down to something that is understandable.
Oh, my word. CC, you truly are a lost cause, aren't you? So what you're saying is that because of the size of the observable universe and your inability to grasp pretty much anything, that you've dumbed it down. Now, I don't understand Chinese, but it would be a really stupid thing if I went around the world forcing Chinese people to only speak English, because that's what I understand. Some things are just difficult to understand.
And that's all it is. That's what we've done. We've made it understandable. We've made it understandable to a point that it's flat, covered with a dome. Stars do not exist. You're not landing on anything. You're not going anywhere. Rockets don't go anywhere except into the ocean.
Okay, so stars don't exist. Let's start with that, shall we? You said earlier in your video that you think the sun is a reflection. You didn't actually tell us what you think it's a reflection of, so I'm going to have to assume that it's a reflection of the sun coming from somewhere. You do realize that the sun is a star, don't you? The things you just said aren't real.
All right, and that's where they go. They blow them up. It's an amazing amateur rocket hour, as far as I'm concerned. You know, and then they say, you know, NASA, so many people that work for NASA. Yeah, that's right. There's plenty of people that work for NASA. There are people that are painting the shuttle. There are people that are building the rockets for the shuttle. There are people that are making trajectories to the moon so we can get there in a certain way, because everything's a clock up there. It's predictable.
I'm just going to sit here for a while. I've got no idea why, but he's doing a brilliant job of debunking his own beliefs, isn't he?
See, CGI.
CCG.
Bullshit. Bud Light. Bullshit.
I'm getting so confused. I saw loads of Bud Light when I was in America. Or is this just CC going off on another incoherent rant? And a rant, for that matter, that has nothing to do with anything he's talking about. Which is what we've come to expect from him.
Look, they're going to have to come up with... they're going to have to come out with Flat Earth at some point. Okay? I mean, you got famous actors that are talking about it. You got everybody talking about it now.
Really? So because some famous actors also think the Earth is flat, then somehow it is? Are you really that gullible? Oh, don't answer that. I think that's quite apparent without any more input from you. And I don't want to point out the obvious, but famous people can be stupid as well, mind.
I remember when I first got into this, I would have the trolls. Whatever happened to the trolls that said that Flat Earth is the biggest internet hoax ever?
Hang on, Chris. I'm not trolling you. I'm just stating facts. The Flat Earth movement is only as big as it is now because of people like you on the internet. And let's be honest, you've got to stop and think about the impact your words are having on the people around you. It's like a really bad case of contagious stupidity. I mean, come on, Chris. The Earth isn't flat. You know that. That's like saying the sky is made of jam or that unicorns really exist. It's just not based in reality. The only people who still believe the Earth is flat are probably the same people who think the moon landing was fake and that Bigfoot is real. And when I say probably, we all know I really mean definitely. But hey, let's turn that frown upside down and focus on something that isn't sad. Like these people who all hit the super thanks button on the last video. Robert Crooks, Mark Grondin, Mario Chartrand, John Osmond, Alison, Joe Schmo, Piotrek Olczek, Greg Osborne, and Memory Arc Studios.
You're awesome.
And if you do want to support what I do on the channel in any way, then take a look at some of the links listed below this video. Thank you all so much for your continued support, and I will see you next time. Love you, bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe. By order of the Creaky Blinder.